Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today's video is all about card making with the Spellbinders Club Kits for the month of October 2023. I'm going to be sharing with you 7 different kits from Spellbinders. They're ones you can subscribe to. They come to your house every month, and they've got such variety. This is the large die of the month, Christmas Bouquet. I'm also going to be using the embossing folder of the month called Christmas Tile. I have the wax seal of the month, which is Merry Christmas to You. You'll also get wax beads with it in a variety of colors. Not everyone gets the same color. This is the BetterPress plate of the month, Continued Joy. The Glimmer kit of the month, Bouquet Full of Joy. We have a 3D embossing folder. It's gorgeous. Flowering a Christmas Tree Burst. Then we have a stamp and die set of the month, Festive Penguins. You can get this without the die if you like. So we're going to jump right into card number 1 because we're making 5 cards today. This is the main or largest die from the large die of the month. Then I showed it to you on a A2 size piece of paper, die cut out. You can see it has all those flowers around it. You're also going to want to die cut one where you cut away the flowers so you can decorate your house part. It's the boutique part. Also, if you fold this on the scored line between the roof and the bottom of the boutique, you can have a shaped card. Okay, here are all the dies in the set. Here are all the things die cut out. You can see the house, the roof, there's a little fence, a door, and there's window accents for the door that you can die cut out with those diagonal lines. That really brings it to life. There's also window accents for the boutique itself that you can add on to give it some interest. This is a little awning that goes above the door. We've got a Christmas tree and a pot to put it in. A poinsettia you're going to die cut twice. A little center for that, some holly and leaves, some berries, a layering rose. There's a little center for the rose, as well as some little ornaments to put on the tree. Spellbinders never leaves out any detail. I am going to take my window dies and actually use them to die cut out openings in the boutique itself because I'm going to make a shaker. I always like to share with you like different ways to use the dies, and I always have to include a shaker because it's my favorite card to make. So now I am adding some adhesive to the back and a window sheet. Then the next step is to add some foam tape. This is going to go all the way around. I'm going to make sure that all the ends touch. That way none of my shaker bits that I'm going to put in there can escape. And I'm using some shaker bits that are from Trinity stamps. For mine, I'll show them to you. They're gorgeous, but you can use shaker bits also from Spellbinders. So this is the Christmas collection. There are different colored sequins and different sizes. There's also stars in there, but I'm going to add a little bit more star mix from my stash, and this is a nice bright silver, so I really filled that up. I wanted there to be a lot of stuff in there. So there you can see what it looks like when it shakes around. It's so cool. Okay, let's build the house. Now we're going to bring in all those dies and put them onto this little boutique or house. It could be a house, and you'll see how all of these layer up. So I added the roof and the little detail edge on the roof, which just helps it have a little dimension. There's the door and its windows. The awning I popped up with a foam square, and then I'll add the die cut word Noel over the top, just like that, which I die cut from some red glitter cardstock. I'm going to put the trees right in front of the windows. You could put these on the outside of the fence. I'll add a little pot, which you can also make a flower pot, right? It doesn't have to be for the tree. Here's all those tiny little circles. I die cut mine from glitter cardstock in pink and red to add the ornaments to my trees. You can also use those ornament shapes as a doorknob for the door. Now the fence has some scored lines on the edge, so you can make a 3D fence, but mine's already a shaker and it's going to go on top of a card, so I'm actually going to have my fence sit flush onto my little boutique, my little shop there, and those edges will just fold around and adhere to the back. So you can have yours be 3D, which is really cool if you make a flat shop, or if it's a card you're going to deliver, you could have it all be 3D. That's super fun. All right, so now I'm going to do the greenery. So I have this largest layer die cut from green. You want to add your flowers before you add the house because you're going to cover up a little bit of the edge of those flowers. And you can see they just match up really well with what is on the shadow layer. And you're going to cover up a lot of that green layer, but some of it you won't. Some of the greenery, it stays. That's why I die cut it from green. So there you can see it glued in place with all the flowers. It's so pretty. I did my berries in red glitter paper. I love it. Okay, we need a background for our house to sit on. So I am bringing in some Prize Ribbon Distress Oxide ink. I'm using a blending buddy brush to add that to my paper. I'm just going to work my way from the top, which is there on my right, down to the bottom. I'm going to leave a little white space. And then I really wanted this to look like a night sky, so I'm going to add a little bit of black soot, but I'm just going to go around the edges, leaving a blue highlight in the center. Now, once I do this, I always like to go back with my original color and soften out the blend between the two. And it looks so good, but it's going to look even better when I add splatter. So I'm going to do a lot of splattering in today's video. I'm starting out with water, and that's going to give me those oxidation droplets. It kind of removes the color. It's my favorite. Before I move on with more splatter, I'm putting this into that embossing folder of the month, the Christmas tile. Isn't it so gorgeous? I love it. We need a little touch of snow for this card. So I am going to add some Dr. P.H. Martin's No Bleed White. I added that to a hard piece of plastic there, added a touch of water, and then I used my tiny paintbrush to splatter that on. I also wanted some bigger droplets, so I watered it down a little bit more, and I'm using a bigger paintbrush, and that one I tap, and it can give me those bigger droplets. Next, I have Juniper Berry Distress Mica Spray. I'm going to splatter this down, but also with that scraggly little brush. This gives me that really fine like mist of splatter, so it's going to be pretty subtle in the background, but it goes really well with that blue. All right, it's time to add this to a card base. My card front is 5.5 by 5.5, so I added it to a card base that was 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. I glued down my little shop there. It's so cute with the shaker windows. Now I'm gonna add something special, which is the wax seal of the month, which says Merry Christmas to you. I got red wax beads with mine. I decided to try pouring this inside of a die to see if it would help me get like a really uniform shape, although I don't mind my wax seals not being perfect. But I will say it didn't do much for me to pour it inside of this die. And like I said, I don't care about perfect wax seals. I like it if it's a little bit off. I like it to look a little bit organic, but it did give me a little bit more of a round shape. Maybe I just had a little too much wax. I used 4 pieces. You could use 3. While I was messing around with my wax seal, I went ahead and tied a bow of baker's twine around the card in the red and white, because I feel anything coming from this boutique is definitely going to be wrapped with red and white twine. Okay, so this is not the wax seal I ended up using, but I wanted to show you how I colored it with the metallic silver marker from Spellbinders. That one got a little messy. You can see it there on the right, so I swapped it out for the solid red. If you like wax seal, there is a really cool collection right now, Sealed for Christmas, that you can get at Spellbinders that has wax seals, it has dies and embossing folders and everything to go with. I'll link that collection for you below as well. All right, let's move on to card number 2. This is that BetterPress plate. It's so pretty. It's called Continued Joy. It's shaped like a Christmas tree. There are BetterPress inks. I did not have a red, so I'm bringing in archival ink, which you can also use, and I am bringing in some of the BetterPress paper, and it's the whitish color. I just showed you the color. I wasn't paying attention. It's cotton, I think. Anyways, when you add the ink to your plates, you want to do kind of a twisting motion when you add that. You don't want to pounce too hard, just twist so it gets down in there. I am running this now through my Platinum machine, my Platinum 6 machine, and it's going to press into the paper. Now, I just love this system because it lines up so perfectly. But also, did you know underneath is where you add your shims? You can lift that plate off. There's 3 shims. I felt like 3 was too many. I removed one for this plate because I'm using the Spellbinders paper. But if you use other paper that's thinner, you might want all 3 of those shims. So play around with it. Every machine is going to press a little bit different. Okay, I have some Tattered Rose Distress Oxide ink and a blending buddy brush that I am using to add ink around the edge of this. Now this paper is very much like watercolor paper, so it can take a lot of ink and technique, so feel free to just blend away, you know. I did some saltwater taffy around the very edge, and then I'm going to spritz this with water to remove a little bit of that ink, and it oxidizes that ink a little bit, softens it out. It's beautiful. All right, so I loved the saltwater taffy on here, so I decided to bring in my Distress Oxide spray, use the handle, you know, like the little nozzle to tap it on. I also watered down what was on my window sheet and did a little bit of the water down. And then there is this new Gumdrop Distress Mica spray that matched so perfectly. So I also splattered some of that down. I'm going to let that dry. And I die cut out this bow, which is from the Glimmer kit of the month. It die cuts out the hot foiled bow, which I will show you later in the video, but using the die by itself makes the most cutest, that's redundant, sorry, the cutest bow. So I had to add that to the top of the tree, and then I'm adding some rhinestones that are, oh my word, gorgeous, with a little iridescent shine to them. I'm going to put those around the outside of the tree, just kind of as a, you know, nod to ornaments, but I didn't want to take away from the center of the tree where that gorgeous letterpressed sentiment is. It is so good. I'm adding this to an A2 size card base. I'm not going to have a white border on this one. It's going to go edge to edge. It's a very quick and simple and easy and beautiful card. I love it. Soft, a little bit alternate colors for the Christmas season, and I love that too. All right, let's move on to card number 3, and we're going to start the hot foiling. So this is the largest plate that hot foils from the hot foil kit of the month for October. I think it is gorgeous. It's called Bouquet Full of Joy. It's got a poinsettia in it. It's got holly. It's so good. And I'm using some blue cardstock and black hot foil. Now, if you like to hot foil on colored cardstock, I highly recommend the cardstock from Spellbinders for this. It hot foils great. And there you can see the black on the blue. Now this is just going to be a background for my card, so I'm going to do it 2 times, and then I will end up using the largest image again for like the focal point on this, but in a really cool way. I think it's really cool. All right, so here's the second layer, and you can see it creates a great background, and of course I am going to be adding some ink blending and splatter. It's kind of the theme of today's card class. I love creating my own backgrounds, so you're gonna see how much I enjoy it in today's video. Okay, I am taking that negative piece and this round solid hot foil plate from Spellbinders. I am going to hot foil my leftover foil, the foil I used to create my background, and oh my word, I am so completely in love with how this turned out. It is like my favorite thing of making these cards right here. So check out the circle. Oh my gosh, on white cardstock. It's like I got a whole second hot foil plate, but I didn't. I just used that leftover piece. I had 2 leftover pieces, so I decided to do one on red cardstock, and I don't hate it. I'm going to use it in today's cards as well. I'm going to use both of those circles. So I just found a die that would cut them out with a little bit of a border. Yeah, doesn't it look like I had a whole nother plate in my kit? Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so there are 3 different circle sentiments in this hot foil kit. So I'm going to do all 3 of those using some leftover foil. Joy, For You, and Warm Wishes. There's a die to cut them out. That's the die I used when I was doing my wax seal. And there's all 3 of them. Die cut out, ready to go. I can pick whichever one I want. And since I had my solid hot foil plate out, I thought, why not try to hot foil the leftovers from hot foiling the sentiments? So I did. I just need to peel back that little sheet there, and then I know it looks wonky, but you die cut these out with the coordinating die, it's not so wonky anymore. They're very cool. So now I have a bunch of sentiments to choose from. Let's go ahead and hot foil the bow because it's gorgeous. I'm using red hot foil on white cardstock. It's fabulous. And the die is going to die cut all around this, but it's got a great window so you can easily like line it up around what you just foiled. And oh my word, it's so cute with the hot foiling. But I love that you can use it with or without. Okay, we're done with hot foiling. Let's bring back that background panel. I'm using the same prize ribbon ink that I used on the first card to go around the edge, and then a little black soot to go around the edge of that. It's really going to help draw your eye into the center of this card. And there is with the black soot, but I'm going to go back with my, I'm not actually adding any ink. I'm just using that brush that had the prize ribbon on it. And then once I do that, I'm going to buff off any extra ink that might be sitting on top of that hot foil. It will resist. I just need to pick it up. All right, let's do some water for splatter. It is so good. I mean, you could just stop here with the water, but I like all the things. I like to have a water layer, a colored layer, and a white layer. So here is that same juniper berry. I thought I might not add white to this one. Who was I kidding? I don't know. I will add the white. So I did the juniper berry with my brush for the fine mist and with the nozzle for bigger splatter. And then same thing with my white scraggly paintbrush for a fine layer, bigger paintbrush, more water for the bigger drops. And it's so festive. So that has dried, and I'm going to bring in that black and white circle for the center of this card. Oh my gosh, I think it's so cool. I mean, it really makes me happy. I added the word joy, and then I brought back some dies from the large die of the month to create a poinsettia accent for this. I had a white layer for the center. I just feel like yellow didn't quite go, so I went with white. I added a couple leaves and then some holly and berries. One thing you should for sure know about me, anything holly with berries, I have to have it. I love holly. I love to use it to accent my cards for Christmas. So any shape, size, configuration, background, I love it. All right, I'm adding some black rhinestones to this. I just needed to like repeat the black in this card one more time with a different texture, and it is the perfect finishing touch. I'm adding this to a white card base. That white really helps frame it and repeat like the frame around the center focal point image, and it's gorgeous. I mean, I'm going to say it. I made it, but I am going to toot my own horn and say that is gorgeous. But let's move on to card number 4 because I'm not sure about this one. I need your input on this one. Let me know what you think in the comments below. So this is the 3D embossing folder of the month, that flowering Christmas tree burst. It is so cool, and I completely love the background I made. I am spritzing the folder with Distress Mica Spray Stain, the newest red color. Don't ask me the name because I forgot it. I will look it up. And I ran my black cardstock through, and this background makes me feel like I'm a little bit of a crafting genius. I don't know. If you love 3D embossing folder techniques or you'd like to learn some more, I have 2 videos that I will link at the end of this video so you can check those out. I love playing with 3D embossing folders so much. So I took some more of that Distress Mica Spray Stain and added it to the center. Now, when you glue down things that have been hot foiled, especially with that solid plate, if you press too hard or get too much glue, the imprint of the glue is actually going to show through. So be light-handed with your adhesive on solid hot foiled things. I added the bow. I added warm wishes. I'm adding a little bit of black glitter cardstock behind that circle. It just needed a little something. I'm adding some white glittered holly leaves and red berries to the center of that on the inside of my bow, because why not? Love is in the details, so we got to add all those fun details. And I really like that I can use those dies from the large die of the month on so many other things, right? We like to have more than one way to use things. I'm coloring up my berries a little bit like I did with the center of my white poinsettias, and then I'm going to add the poinsettias to the corner of my background. So I'm using red, white, and black for the color scheme on this card. Now I wish I would have splattered some white on there. We'll get to that before I'd added everything. Okay, but I didn't. I wish I would have trimmed off the edge of my poinsettias before I added this to my red card base, but I didn't. So here I covered everything up and I did the fine mist splatter. Now, in retrospect, I think it's a little too much. I wish I would have watered it down and only done the larger droplets in a in less concentrated way. But I have the white splatter. It's softened down the harsh background just a tiny bit, maybe a little bit too much. And then I trimmed off the edge of my poinsettias so they kind of fit within the frame of this A7 size card, so 5 by 7. I'm pretty happy with the results, but there's a few changes I wish I would have made, especially on the white splatter. So let me know what you think, and let's move on to card number 5. This is A2, and if you put it in your embossing folder, you can have a flower in each corner. It's going to kind of help you line it up. But this, oh my gosh, this is like my favorite thing I had to share with you. I took the new Sparkle Texture Paste, and I'm brushing it all over this to create a kind of shiny with that hint of glitter background. I'm telling you, I'm going to be painting this stuff on everything. I already know I've got to get a second jar of that. I love it. Okay, so now we have our prize ribbon. Again, I am doing a circle and spritzing it with water. And you can see, again, I left a little white at the bottom. And next I'm going to splatter this with that new Frozen Fog Distress Mica. You can tell I just got my Christmas distress order because I'm playing with all the things. And I'm bringing in the clear stamp of the month. Look at that penguin. He is too cute for words with his little ice skates and his hat. I love. I'm going to emboss this with clear embossing powder. I used Versamark or VersaFine Distress. No, I can't say it. VersaFine Onyx Black ink to stamp him. Embossed him with clear, so he's going to be nice and shiny, like a penguin should be, and then I can color in a little bit of his outfit. So I'm going to give him a red and white striped scarf. It's probably my favorite Christmas scarf to do, red and white. Yeah. Candy cane stripe, yes. A little R20 for some pink cheeks. And then I did bring in a really light yellow. I didn't want the yellow to like take over, so I went with a really pale YR31 for his beak and his flippers. And then I am going to color in his hat. I'm going with some Christmassy green. G9 is the color I use for the front of the hat. And then there's a little side piece that's kind of like the back of the hat. I'm coloring that with G28 for a nice dark contrast. And that's it. He's really super simple to color. You could color it with any marker. Then I'm going to stamp and emboss a sentiment from the stamp set. Be cool, be chill, be merry. And also with clear powder, so it's also raised up and shiny. And I also love that Distress ink, this was Lumberjack Plaid. Distress Oxide ink is not going to stain my clear stamps. Yeah. I don't like red clear stamps. I mean, I know it shows that I've used them, but it's just not my favorite. So next I'm just kind of laying everything out. It's not exactly adhered down to my card, so I can figure out placement. And then I'm going to add in some holly and berries from the large die of the month for a beautiful accent to my circle. And then we're going to temporarily adhere this down to my card front so that I can trim off part of my circle. I love this kind of layout for a card where you have a big circle that kind of hangs off the edge. Love that. But I am going to pop it up, so that's why I temporarily adhered it down. And I'm not going to adhere everything down first because I'm stamping on the inside of my card with prize ribbon and that stack of penguins. And then I'll add another sentiment to the top of this card. We wish you a Merry Christmas. So I still have room there on the left to write my sentiment, but a really fun inside to the card. Okay, let's check out this gorgeous, gorgeous background again. I'm going to be painting my embossed backgrounds forevermore with that sparkle paste. All right, I'm adding this whole big circle down so it lines up with the edge of the card base. And I'm popping it up with foam tape. Then we're going to add some reflecting sky embellishments, a light blue with the iridescent finish. You can see all the mini gems that I have from Trinity. Gorgeous. Also, Spellbinders has a ton of embellishments too. So if you're at the Spellbinders shop, be sure to check those out. I will have the ones I've used from Trinity linked for you below if you want to check those out too. There is finished card number 5. I'm not gonna lie, this one might be my favorite. I'm totally into cutesy things, but I also love making flowery, beautiful things. So that's why Spellbinders is so fun, is because they have a mix of all of that. There's the card I'm not sure about. A little too much white. You guys got to tell me what you think in the comments below. I mean, I still like the card, but I got to know what you think. Okay, so there's my shaker with my wax seal that's so beautiful. And then you can see my hot foiled circle. Love it. I mean, I just love how those circles turned out. We've got our BetterPress plate. That one I think is a really good one. If you want to make multiples, that's a great plate for that. And then we have our cute little penguin ice skating. So much fun making these cards. I love putting all my club kits together and playing with them. Now, you can get any configuration of club kits you want from Spellbinders. I think they're very well priced. They also have bundles that you can, if you want to get a few club kits together, they're great savings. So I'll link the bundled kits for you in the description box below too. I also have a link if you want to see a visual of each of the club kits. You can click on my visual supply list. So thank you for stopping by. If you are new here, feel free to subscribe because I have new paper crafting videos all the time and I can't wait to see you on the next one. Happy stamping! Bye!